What's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And welcome to another edition of the State of the Saints podcast live on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for spending your Saturday night with yours truly. I really do appreciate that. And, special shout out to everybody that has been following the State of the Saints podcast on Facebook. Also, the ones that's been viewing the videos throughout the week. I really do appreciate that. Thank y'all so much. This is an impromptu show. Usually, I do shows. Usually these are prediction shows. Anytime the Saints have a game, we always do a prediction show live. But as y'all know, the Saints are out of the playoffs, and the only game that is left, the only games that are left is the Pro Bowl, if you want to call it that, and the Super Bowl. But we still gonna talk about the Saints even in the off season. So if you have any questions or any thing you want to talk about, you can always comment. You can always email me at the end of the show at stateofthesaints@gmail.com. And honestly, I'm very, very happy about this. You all can actually call in tonight. That's right. You can actually call in. I set this up. Shouts out to Ice Cream Man. He the one that asked me to set up a phone line, so you all will be able to call in. And I'll give that number to you all in just a minute. So if you want to call in and talk about the Saints, or you want to say something about the Saints, or you want to ask a question, I will be giving that number out in a few minutes. So, and for those that are don't want to be on the phone, they kind of shy. You can always put your information in the chat, and of course, I still read it. Also, you can donate to the State of the Saints podcast by clicking the super chat button, and you can donate. I really do appreciate that. So, thank y'all, man. What we're going to be talking about tonight is a story that is honestly, man, really frustrating because it's so unnecessary that this is in the news, because I feel like this was a self-inflicted wound by the Saints organization. And I'm talking about the whole Catholic Church scandal that's going on, and the Saints being linked to that particular scandal. And I know a lot of people are wondering, like, what in the heck is going on here? What's happening? I put a video up yesterday. A friend of mine actually sent me the information, and I was actually on the air at 90.9 when it came out. And when I was doing a music break, I read the article, and I was just so disgusted at what I saw. I mean, it really didn't make no sense whatsoever. The New Orleans Saints were emailing the Catholic Church and giving them, I guess, advice about how to handle the sex scandals that were going on in the Catholic Church. And they were using Saints resources. And by resources, I mean they were using Saints PR people, to teach them how to handle damage control. And this wasn't just one time. It was over 200 different emails that the New Orleans Saints were sending to the Catholic Church community of New Orleans, telling them what they need to do, how they need to handle themselves. And, it's just embarrassing. I understand what Gayle Benson is. I understand what the Catholic Church means to her and the Archbishop of New Orleans. This man and her are really, really close. She's given over $1 million to the Catholic Church. She's a devout Catholic. So I understand her allegiance to this. But when you're dealing with a scandal like this, when you're dealing with, possible, underage, say sex scandals, when it involves these priests, I think you just need to bow out gracefully. And this can affect the team. And I know a lot of people are saying that, oh, man, shouts out to my boy Trayshawn, man. He's often commenting on the show. He said, what's the difference between this and Robert Kraft? Well, the thing about it is, the difference between this and Robert Kraft is Robert Kraft, even though he was out in Florida at a massage parlor and he ended up getting caught, I mean, this was basically just something self-inflicted on him. You know what I'm saying? It was embarrassing on his part. But when you're dealing with situations like this, the Saints aren't the only people that get hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the entire young, like these young guys that got molested, you know what I'm saying, that are victim of these priests. They're the ones are the victims, you know what I'm saying? So it's not just the Saints that are victims here. By you teaching the Catholic Church community to cover things up, you are actually aiding and abetting them how to get out of this type of trouble. Like, you can't say on one hand that you're disgusted by the situation and disgusted by the Catholic Church community and what they did on one hand, and then turn around and help them on the other. Like, that's not what you need to do. I mean, this is just absolutely embarrassing, man. And honestly, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of this, man, because I can understand this. Look, I'm not a Catholic, but I'm very embedded into my faith. I'm a Christian. I grew up in a Baptist church. My grandfather is a pastor. I understand about how Christianity and stuff like that makes me feel. And when somebody tries to attack that, I understand how it makes me feel inside. But at the end of the day, if somebody does something wrong, like, I'll give y'all an example. There was this preacher out in I think Atlanta a couple years ago named Eddie Long. He had a big mega church out there, and he was charged with touching on underage boys. And, he got in front of his congregation and stuff like that, said the famous quote, I'm like Daniel, what I'm saying, when I'm going up against the Goliath and I got 5 rocks and I ain't thrown one yet, and everybody started cheering at the church. And, people want to support this guy. But, I mean, honestly, when I started looking at all of the pictures and all these young boys coming out and how it made them feel, man, I had to go ahead and bow out gracefully, man. Sometimes, you got to let these guys go to jail, man, because if you're out here touching these underage boys, if you're out here, causing these young boys mental hardship down the line, you need to pay the price. And, I don't think that the New Orleans Saints organization should have intervened. And honestly, I just think that was just sloppy on Gayle Benson's part. I mean, you put your organization in jeopardy. I can understand if you use the outside entity. I mean, you're a billionaire. I mean, Tom Benson left you over $1 billion, and for you to have. So it's not like you couldn't go out here and find yourself a lawyer, an independent contractor, so to speak, and let them handle the business. It's not like you couldn't go out here and find an independent PR team. You didn't have to use the one from the Saints. And now they're going to court trying to cover up the emails that were sent. They're doing damage control on their own part. But my question is, like, if you don't have anything to hide, if you're saying that you didn't aid and abet the Catholic Church community, why are you jumping through hoops to try to hide these emails from the general public? You must really be hiding something because you knew that you were in the wrong. I mean, honestly, this can be a bad look right here, man. And I can see the NFL intervening with this, man, because like I said, like Robert Kraft, I mean, the only person that get affected by that was him. You know what I'm saying? He was the one that got embarrassed going out there to that massage parlor and getting caught up in the sex ring out there. But when you're dealing with people who were molested and, and abused by these priests, I mean, that's a bad look for the National Football League and the New Orleans Saints organization. And we all know that we live in a time's up, Me Too type movement where, people are digging in the crates, finding information about people that did stuff 10, 20 years ago. So, they're trying to crack down on this type of nonsense right now. So the New Orleans Saints, I mean, I feel like this is a bad look right here. And I just feel like it's just one of those situations that the NFL is not going to turn their heads about. It's not going to be one of those situations where, as time go on, you kind of sweep this kind of stuff under the rug. I mean, you got these young guys out here who basically told the NFL. I mean, it wasn't like the NFL were told by the Saints. They were actually told by some of these young victims that the Saints were using their resources. So these young kids that were affected by these priests, that were touched and molested by these priests, were the ones that blew the whistle on the Saints organization. So this is a bad look right here, man. I don't know what anybody's thinking in the Saints organization. I don't know what Gayle Benson was thinking on that. But this could be something that is huge. I mean, this can actually rock the foundation of the Saints organization, man, because, I know this isn't like a race situation like it was with the Clippers and Donald Sterling, when he was caught on video saying racial slurs and talking about Magic Johnson. But this is a sexual assault case, which the world, the society, the NFL is starting to take really, really serious. So Gayle Benson, I mean, if this gets out and depends on what's on these emails, I mean, the NFL could possibly make her give up the team. And that would be huge, man. That would be huge because Tom Benson, before he died, I mean, he left in his will that nobody can sell the Saints. He basically solidified the Saints in New Orleans, for years to come. But if she's forced to give up the team, I mean, that will basically gets ripped up. You know what I'm saying? That gets ripped up, and then you find yourself trying to get another owner, and we don't know that person. We don't know how much they would love New Orleans, how much they would have respect for New Orleans, and we don't know if the Saints could be sold to the highest bidder. So this is some scary stuff right here, man. I know a lot of people like, man, it ain't a big deal, but in reality, it really is, Who Dat Nation. It really is. But I would love to hear from you. Y'all comment. Let me know what you all think. You can comment in the chat, or you can actually call up on Skype. Okay, if you have Skype, you can call up, or you can just use your phone. You can call the State of the Saints podcast hotline. That's what I'm calling it right now. 504-354-0165. That's 504-354-0165. You can ask me anything. You don't have to be about Gayle Benson. I mean, you can comment on that if you want to. Ask me any questions if you want to. I would love to hear from you. Once again, 504-354-0165. So without further ado, I'm going to open the floor to you all, and you can ask any questions, in the chat. Kelly Cole says, hey, who that from Atlanta? Hey, what's going on? Shouts out to the ATL and Kelly. Thank you very much for checking out the live stream. Ball don't lie. 4216 says, hey, TJ, what's up, man? What's going on? Thank you very much for spending your Saturday night with your boy. Darrell, what's going on, man? Let's see. Wyatt, what's happening, man? As a Saints fan, this is very disappointing. I'm not gonna lie to you on that. Very, very disappointing stuff. I blame Miss. Yeah, I mean, who else can you blame? I mean, she's the owner of the team. I mean, she does a really good job staying out of the way of Saints executive decisions and coaching decisions and stuff like that. We don't have to worry about no Jerry Jones situation, but you have to believe that she's the one that told the PR team to do this. So even though, they're saying it's the PR guy, the one that's out there sending the emails, I mean, he's basically doing this because Gayle Benson told him to. So this is embarrassing right here. Let's see. So she was trying to protect the pedophiles, not the children. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. Even though me personally, I feel like she was just trying to protect her faith, in the Catholic Church community. But it looks as if she's trying to protect all these people that, that are close to her. I mean, the Archbishop and Gayle Benson are really, really close. I mean, this guy comes to the football games. He sits up in a luxury box with her. He's been on the field and all that kind of stuff. Like, she's really, really close to this man. So, I wouldn't be surprised if she's out here protecting the Catholic Church just because of her alliance and her allegiance to her faith, as well as the Archbishop. Amon Johnson says, I enjoy your show, man. You think the Saints will be sold, bro, because of the email scandal? No, I don't think the Saints would be sold based on the email scandal, but it is a possibility. I don't put things past the NFL. I mean, it depends on how serious this situation is. It depends on how deep the Saints are involved in this situation. If they are like knee deep in it, then it could cost Gayle Benson to sell the New Orleans Saints. I hope it don't come to that, but that's some scary stuff right there, man, because when you end up selling a team to another owner, I mean, you don't know what that owner's intention is. I mean, we know that Tom Benson wanted the Saints in New Orleans, we know we had that scary time back in like 2005, when Tom Benson was upset at the state. I heard somebody say that was Rita Benson LeBlanc, her granddaughter, trying to sell the Saints. That's totally untrue. Tom Benson was the one that was trying to, force the state's hand by saying that he was going to, move the Saints to San Antonio. But that was just because he wanted more money and he wanted the Superdome done in a year. And the state couldn't promise that at the time. They were kind of nervous because, of the resources and how bad the city was completely damaged and stuff like that. So they didn't know if they could be able to repair the Superdome in a year. So that was just Tom Benson trying to get the money in order for the Superdome to be rebuilt. But I don't think he ever just had real intentions on trying to move the team. I think that was just a business move. But we all knew that Tom Benson didn't want to move the team. But when you're dealing with a new owner, I mean, when a guy just comes in out of absolutely nowhere, And you don't know him from a can of paint. You don't know his intentions. If he's like a business first person, a New Orleans person second, that could be scary times, because that can just mean that, there's a possibility that the Saints can be sold. And we don't want that, man. That would be a hurtful time. I can only imagine being a Cleveland Brown fan in the mid-90s, when the Cleveland Browns were sold to the Baltimore and became the Baltimore Ravens, or the Baltimore Colts end up moving their team in the middle of the night on a Mayflower trucks, and moving them to Indianapolis. I wouldn't want that type of situation going on in New Orleans. That would be hurtful, man. I mean, I couldn't imagine the Saints being in any other town or any other state other than New Orleans, Louisiana. That would be scary, in my opinion, man. Like that would be hurtful right there. Gayle, and Gayle's voice. Whoever was involved in this scandal should go to jail. I absolutely agree, Danny. I have a zero tolerance for pedophiles. I mean, these are just some sick individuals, man. Like, I mean, I just don't get it. Like, how can you look at underage 13, 14-year-old girl, a 13, 14-year-old boy, and just find that attractive? If you're a 30, 35, 40-year-old man, a 40-year-old woman, I mean, I just don't get it. Like, these kids don't know anything. And the only logical explanation I can come up with, and I know we a sports show, but this kind of deals with what's going on in New Orleans. But the only thing I can think about is, it's just that control thing. Like people just feel like, you're dealing with these little kids and they feel like they can get control over these youngsters, man. But I just think these are some very, very sick individuals. I lost respect for Mrs. Benson at this time. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know too much about the situation, Black Mamba 99. I completely understand if you lost respect for her. I get it. I mean, I get it. I get it. I completely do. I want to reserve my judgment till all the facts come out, because, I really don't know her true intentions. I just know how it looks. But I can understand why you would lose respect for her. This right here, I'm going to be honest with you. This right here is one of the reasons we can kind of say that some of the things that Rita Benson LeBlanc said about Gayle Benson were legit. I don't know if y'all know, a couple years ago, and I don't know, a lot of people may have been following this story, but Rita Benson LeBlanc was like one of the executives for the New Orleans Saints, and for a good little minute. I think a lot of people just need to give this lady a credit. When Rita Benson LeBlanc became like one of the head executives of the New Orleans Saints, when Tom Benson started to get old and he stopped handling like Saints business and he became more of the figurehead, he became just the guy who was out there with the umbrella. He wasn't making the decisions. His granddaughter, Rita Benson LeBlanc, was running the Saints. So when y'all start seeing like those championship runs and seeing the team like blowing up and stuff like that, Rita Benson had a lot to do with that. Her and Sean Payton didn't really get along. He didn't like her at all. But I mean, the way that she ran the team, man, she ran it, I mean, with an iron fist. And a lot of the, the 2008, 2009 Saints team, the Super Bowl teams, and when the Saints were like really rolling and going into the playoffs and stuff like that every year in the early 2010s and stuff, she was running the team. And then all of a sudden, Tom Benson, for some apparent reason, thought that her and the rest of his family were trying to kill him. I mean, it was deep. He thought that they were trying to poison him, trying to kill him off in order for them to become owners of the team. And he ended up writing in his will that he didn't want them to have anything to do with the team. And he left everything to Gayle Benson. And Rita Benson said that, Gayle Benson was a manipulator, a liar, a person that basically just seems like she's just nice on the outside, but she's ruthless on the inside. I mean, I don't get from her, I mean, she has like this humbling presence about her every time I see her, what I'm saying? Like, I see that, but you never know what people do, man. You never know what's in a person's heart, man. At the end of the day, I don't know her on that level, but I mean, Rita Benson, did say that she has some very conniving ways. So maybe this is something that has come out to show what Rita Benson was talking about was actually legit all along. I mean, could be not, but I mean, it makes you raise an eyebrow and just kind of, look past that whole humble Mother Teresa type zen she got going on. She waving and all humble and stuff like that, giving hugs and stuff like that. Like she gives you that motherly Mother Teresa type vibe or whatever. But I mean, in reality, I mean, who knows? Who knows what a person does behind closed doors? I mean, I would hope that, she didn't, just smooth Tom Benson, just for her to get all his resources when she died. I mean, when he died, excuse me, but you never know with people, man. Let me see. How old are the emails? I don't know. I mean, but Kelly, I mean, we know. Look, let's call it for what it is, Who That Nation, man. We live in a society today where you can probably make a tweet about 10 years ago and people would start digging that up and start using that kind of stuff against you. We know what it is, man. Y'all heard about Kevin Hart with the Oscars. He used I guess like a homosexual tweet or something like that. He did a homosexual tweet about 10 years ago about his son or something like that, playing with a dollhouse. And that was, and they wanted him to apologize for that. I mean, that's the kind of world that we're living in now. They don't believe in change. They don't believe in people can evolve and become better people. It's all about who you are 10 years ago that defines you today. So it really don't matter when the emails were done. It really don't matter, not according to the world. I mean, it can be 15 years ago. It really wouldn't matter, but honestly, I don't know how old the emails are, but the way that the Saints are running around like a chicken with their heads cut off, I would have to say that those emails are pretty recent. And I think the scandal went back as far as like 2018, so they can't be that old, no more than 2 years old. So embarrassing. Yeah. Saint Lady too. I'm just going to wait till all the facts come out. I'm not going to overreact until I know for a fact that any wrongdoing was done. Peanut Nola, that's a good way of looking at it. I mean, we have to reserve our judgment till all the facts come out. I mean, and honestly, as Saints fans, members of the Who That Nation, that's all we can do is sit back and hope for the best and hope that the decisions that come out and some of the ramifications, it don't affect us as fans, and it don't affect the team. That's all we can hope for right now. So, I mean, honestly, sitting back and reserving your judgment is probably the best out. I mean, no need to speculate and just overreact right now. I mean, we really don't know what's going on. I mean, honestly, this is some very, very confusing stuff going on right now. So, Peanut, that's a really good way of looking at it. Lavelle says she down bad for that. If it's true, yeah. I mean, if it's true, it's horrible. Like it's horrible. That is a bad look for the Saints organization. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Let's see. Drew Brees says, LOL, never trust the Catholic Church. They house pedophiles for centuries. Drew Brees, first off, I respect your opinion, but I mean, I ain't about to go at the Catholic Church because I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some people that follow the State of the Saints podcast and friends that are Catholic, man. So we don't want to, disrespect anybody's faith. We don't want to disrespect Catholicism. I'm not going to do that, man, just because you have some people out here that's just making these bad decisions, man. I don't want that to affect everybody, and I know how that feels, Drew Brees, because the thing about it is, man, like, if I can get personal for a second, like I said at the beginning of this show, my grandfather is a pastor. My grandfather has been a minister my entire life. For 33 years of me living on earth, he's been a minister long, and he's been a minister long before I was even born. And I know the way that he carries himself, man. He's a well-respected person in the community. He's the undisputed patriarch of our family. I've never seen my grandfather do anything, a liar, lying, conniving type things at all. Everybody that he comes in contact with respects him. Nobody really has anything bad to say about him. And I'm not bragging or boasting, and I'm not trying to lift my grandfather up like he the best thing since sliced toast bread. Maybe he is to me, but I know that I'm saying that to say this, I know that there are good ministers out there. You know what I'm saying? And they get overshadowed by these people that make these bad decisions. They're the ones that go out here and make these bad decisions and make it bad for the people that's really out here trying to teach and trying to preach the word of God. And I'm not going to disrespect people faith based on some of these situations and some of these bad decisions that some of these priests have made. I can't do that, man. And I don't think neither should you. I don't think we should go about it that route. We should look at this for what it is. This was a bad decision by some men of the cloth. These young guys trusting in these men, and they broke that trust, and they should pay for it. But that should be the end of it. It shouldn't. You shouldn't reflect any of these other priests out here that's actually doing things the right way, and not out here touching these little boys. Gayle Benson has dumped millions of dollars into the Catholic Church. That looks bad. Not really, Drew Brees. That really doesn't look bad. I mean, that just shows that she's devout. She's a devout Catholic. I mean, just think about this, man. I mean, how much money some of these people, put in a collection plate every Sunday. I mean, you just look at it like you're trying to doing that for the advancement of your church or the advancement of your community, whatever have you. Whoever the church uses their resources, that's what you feel like you are putting that money into the collection plate for. So I don't look at it that way. If she's just giving that money for the advancement of the Catholic Church community, look, I applaud her for that. But if she's out here aiding and abetting these people, then I don't applaud that. And she should pay. I'm gonna be honest with you. She should pay the price. What if the Saints signed Dak Prescott? If the Saints signed Dak Prescott, I would be highly surprised. I don't see Dak Prescott leaving the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think that's going to happen. I just think that they're going to end up, they're going to end up signing him to a long-term contract. I don't see that going any further. I don't see him going out here testing the free agent market. I would see them putting a franchise tag on him before they allow him to go out here and be a unrestricted free agent. Alfred Camel says, I can hear the beep, beep, beep right now from the bus backing up because some people about to be thrown under it from the Saints organization. Look, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, let's just call it for what it is, man. If you got people out here, aiding and abetting these people, and I know I keep saying aiding and abetting, but that's the only thing that I can think of them doing. They need to be fired. They need to be gone. They need to get rid of these guys. They need to chunk up the deuce to them. Stop wasting everybody's time. You know what I'm saying? Get rid of these people. Even if you are doing, something for the owner of the team, sometimes you gotta, say no at the end of the day. I know your job is on the line and that person has a lot of power, a lot of stroke, but man, that can come back on you, and I mean, honestly, the PR guy can get indicted because of this, and if Gayle Benson doesn't have her hand in the cookie jar, her name is not on any of the documents, she's not the one writing up the emails, then, she can get away with this, like it will have to be like, you will have to prove that she has something to do with it, which honestly, I think you can, because the question would be like, okay, if she didn't tell him to do it, then why would he do it? Is he a devout Catholic? So I don't know, man. But if that means these guys have to be fired in order for the Saints, not to, lose her as an owner or a possibility of them being sold to another owner, then I'm all for it. Get those guys up out of here. Thanks for calling it for what it is. Absolutely heartbreaking. Saints Lady 2, thank you very much for the $4.99. Thank you very much. Once again, if you want to State of the Saints podcast, you can do so by super chats. And if you want to call in, you can call the State of the Saints podcast hotline at 504-354-0165. If you want to comment about the Gayle Benson Saints situation, or you want to ask or comment about the Saints as a whole, I would really appreciate it, man. You can call in. Peanut Nola 504. I definitely agree. Let's see. Gerald Steele says, Drew Brees, no, it doesn't look bad that like giving money to church. The whole church wasn't doing it, just a few members. So she's defending the good ones. Yeah, I mean, that's the way you look at it. I mean, like I said, you put money in a collection plate on Sunday, those that go to church, and you just looking at it like this is going to advance our church. This is going to, the church is going to use this to, give to the poor or help out the community. That's the way you look at it. You don't think about, oh man, they're going to take this money and they're going to do this, that, and the third with it. That's not ethical. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, I mean, I can't knock her for that. It's disgusting. It's always some with the Saints, bro. Yeah, man. Can't seem to stay out their own way, man. I mean, honestly, like they can't stay out their own way when it comes to business decisions. They can't stay out their own way when it comes to business on the field. I mean, I just don't get it, man. Like, Oh man, this is embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing to say the least, man, because this is like so unnecessary. Like, she didn't even have to do this. Like, and honestly, it makes her look like a hypocrite. I mean, that's just a fact. It makes her look like a hypocrite. Because she comes out here with this big spiel about, oh, I'm embarrassed and they should be ashamed of themselves, and these young boys are the victims, and my prayers for the victims. You come out there on one hand, and then all of a sudden, like, you up here telling the Catholic Church on how to get up out of trouble. You know what I'm saying? Like, that makes absolutely no sense. Tier One Solution said, "Thank you for covering this issue. I'm glad you stepped up. Did you see my comment in your other videos asking you to cover it?" Tier One Solutions. Honestly, I didn't. I apologize for that. Yesterday, I put out a video, but when I came home, I was on daddy duty. My son has a stomach virus, so I was dealing with that. So I really didn't look at any of the comments. I apologize to y'all. It's probably one of the first times in a while I just didn't go down and stroll down with the comments. But I had to be a dad, man. My son, had that little stomach virus, so I had to handle that. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't go live last night. I thought I was going to end up going live. I even said that I was, but I had to take care of my boy, man. So, but I wanted to cover this, and I appreciate you, for wanting me to cover this. I mean, a lot of people, we don't want to touch these type of subjects, man. We want to talk about sports, but I mean, this is real life stuff, folks, and that's the thing, man. We don't want this kind of stuff to trickle off into our real life. We don't want this to trickle off to it, because the thing about it, folks, like, life is already complicated as it is, right? I mean, we watch sports because we want to, separate from real life issues. Like those 3 hours that we watch the Saints is just an escape from reality. I mean, no matter, what's going on at work, relationship issues, personal issues, like, you can escape that for 3 hours. But, when you're dealing with situations like this, when real life stuff like pedophilia comes to your organization, like, man, you don't want to be talking about no stuff like this. But that's the world we live in, folks. I mean, they really have some sick individuals out here, man, that are manipulating young kids and stuff like that, man. I mean, they talk about that kind of stuff all the time, pedophiles and sex trafficking and stuff like that going on in this world. There are sick individuals out here, man, that need help, and anybody that's out here touching these little kids, man, they need to go to jail. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You need to go to jail if you're out here messing with these young kids, man, because, man, these kids got to grow and they got to be able to make their own minds up. Like, they got to grow and develop, and being a kid is already complicated as it is, man. Trying to separate and become your own individual, but at the same time feeling like, you got to be with this crowd, but you really don't feel understand these points of views, or you don't support these points of views, but you might feel like an outcast because you don't. I mean, kids go through so much as it is, man. So, man, to be out here messing with these young kids' minds and having them, learning about something like sex, so early and prematurely in their lives, is honestly, man, just a jip to these kids. And we need to get these guys off the street. Like, honestly, man, I can't take that. I be watching some of these shows back in the days, like To Catch a Predator and stuff like that. You got guys coming to that house and they ask the question why, and he's like, well, I can't find a date, and I can't find this girl, or I can't talk to this guy, because I'm a social outcast. Like, bump all that, man. I don't care how ugly you are, man. They got somebody out there for you, for real, man. I don't mean to, make jokes out of it, but, no matter how unattractive you say you are, I don't want to say ugly you are, because that sounded wrong. I think everybody is beautiful, in their own way, but no matter how ugly you may say or think that you are, there's always somebody out there for you, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got people out there don't care about looks and all that kind of stuff you worry about. People care about how a person can love them, how a person can support them. That's what it's about today. So I can't take the excuse like, I'm lonely and nobody want to talk to me. Like, man, bump all that. Like, man, get yourself some help. Find yourself a woman or a guy your age. The Catholic Church has always hidden sexual abuse claims. Shifty, Gayle Benson should have known better than to use her husband's brand that he works hard for. That lady is going to ruin. Yeah, that's true, Muhammad. I mean, that's absolutely true. her using the Saints resources is a big no-no. That is an embarrassment. I'm ashamed. Like, as a Saints fan, I'm ashamed. Like, honestly, I don't feel like this was necessary at all. You're worth $1 billion, man. Just go out here and get yourself an outside lawyer, an outside PR team to handle that business. If you care about the Catholic Church that much, you feel like you want to stick your neck out for these guys, then don't use the Saints resources to do it. Don't put the Saints employees in jeopardy. Don't jeopardize these guys, because you know, when you're dealing with executives, I mean, when you go up to these guys, these guys are not going to tell you no, because these guys think about their families. They think about the money they can possibly lose by telling you no, because you fire them because they're not doing what you say to do. So putting these guys in this type of precarious position, she should be ashamed of herself if that's the case. Like, honestly, man, like, for real. Let's see. Gayle has a lot on her plate. Sometimes her thinking not right. I feel she be good though. Yeah, James. I mean, how can you be prepared to run a team? Like, honestly, how can you be prepared to run a team? I know, like, the latter years of Tom Benson's life, he used to have her go to, like, the owner meetings and stuff like that and sit in his place. And, he was kind of grooming her to be that owner, because I guess he understood, like, the inevitable was near, and, he wasn't going to be around much longer. I hate to say it like that, but I mean, it's just reality. And, I mean, she made a lot of good decisions. Like I said, I respect her when it comes to, like, staying out of the way. Like, she knows that she's not an executive. She knows that she don't know that much about football. So she allows the Saints executives, the Saints trust, and the Saints coaches to handle the business. And I can respect that, And if she needs to show up at a game and wave or something like that, or shake hands or meet a free agent or something like that, when that time comes, she does. But this right here, man, I mean, this is crazy right here. I mean, she shouldn't have did this. We saying Saints, but she owns the Pels too. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true too. I mean, this could affect the Pelicans as well, but not so much in this particular regards, because the Pelicans name wasn't on this. You know what I'm saying? So the NBA is not even really paying attention to this. I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought about the same thing, James, and I even kind of investigated the situation, but it seems like the focal point is just on the Saints, because the Saints executives were the ones that answered the call, so to speak, and help with the damage control. They didn't really have nothing to do with the Pelicans organization. So I don't think that the Pelicans will be affected by this as much as the New Orleans Saints will, because even though she's the owner of that team, I mean, the NBA is kind of separating themselves from that. And I guess they're looking at it like, man, she ain't put any of the NBA letterheads on there. It was mostly just the New Orleans Saints letterheads and the NFL shield. So right now she's in a clear when it comes to the NBA. And I guess it depends on, like, how deep this is. Will an NBA intervene? Let's see. Jerry, what's going on, man? Thank you for tuning in. Muhammad says, I honestly don't think we are not going to make it to another Super Bowl with these coaches and players. It's been some of the same players for years. We need new players and a whole new coaching staff. Muhammad, look, I'm not ready to blow the whole thing up. I do feel like there's some pieces that the Saints need in order for them to be successful. Number one, I don't think that the Saints will end up winning the Super Bowl with their offensive scheme. That's number one right there, okay? Sean Payton going to have to change the way that he thinks and the way that he runs the offense. Number two, I feel like the defense that the Saints runs, I think that is just a little bit too conservative. Number three is the secondary coach, Aaron Glenn. Now, I heard that he decided to turn down an opportunity to be the defensive coordinator of the New York Football Giants. He was interviewed. He had an opportunity to be interviewed, but he turned it down to come back to the Saints. I know a lot of people in the Who Dat Nation are excited about that. I know a lot of people in the secondary are excited about that. But the Saints really just need to clean up a lot of these, these different techniques that they have going inside of the secondary. Number one, not turning your head around. Number two, worrying about just trying to tackle a guy, ripping the ball out instead of actually making a tackle. Too many missed tackles, not turning your head around. Guys are not playing the ball. They're trying to, just try to tackle a guy, when the ball is in the air. like they got to work on technique. So those three things right there, they got to change. I honestly feel like they're gonna end up firing Dennis Allen eventually. I don't think that Dennis Allen is the answer to the New Orleans Saints. He has made them a more organized defense. He has fixed them in certain ways as far as like, doing certain things as far as their assignment and being where they need to be. But it's just something about his defense and being our coach when he goes up against an offensive minded coach tells me that they're not going to be able to get over that hump with him. Excuse me. I just don't see it that way. And I think that, that's probably going to have to change. I don't think the whole coaching staff has to go. I'm not ready to blow it all up just yet. But Sean Payton gonna have to put his ego aside in order to make those changes, man. I mean, I understand these guys are your friends. I understand that you want these guys to be a part of your success, but man, everybody can't make it to the promised land with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I can get biblical with y'all for a second, Moses, led the people to the promised land, but he didn't go with them. You know what I'm saying? He didn't go with them. Like he ended up not being able to roll up in there with him. You know what I'm saying? He took them there. So, you look at people like Dennis Allen and Aaron Glenn. Yeah, they took them to a certain point, but now it's time for them to watch them prosper from the outside looking in, if you get my drift. Let's see, Martin, you really think the Catholic Church needs someone help on getting out of what they've been getting out of for centuries? Really, guys? Yeah, that's true, Martin. I mean, the Catholic Church is one of the most prosperous religions of them all. You know what I'm saying? They ain't hurting for no bread. You know what I'm saying? They ain't hurting for no money. You get what I'm saying? Like, they don't need nobody's resources in order for them to get out of situations. They got their own PR teams and stuff like that. But I guess she looked at it as it was a personal attack on the city of New Orleans Catholic Church. So I guess she took it personal, but wasn't very smart. Driving back home to Gulfport, man. Better be careful out there, Jerry. Let's see. Tier 1. You said you're in Gulfport. Well, you said I'm on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, man. Shouts out to Tier 1. Now y'all up here talking about y'all up here trying to get business going around here. Shouts out to Tier 1. It says he's a realtor. So man, shouts out to him. Let's see. Tier 1 said that's why I need to run commercials. TJ, please reach out to me about running a commercial on your show. All right, man. I'll reach out to you, man. I mean, honestly, look, if you out here trying to do something, I'm all about independent business and stuff like that, man. So if y'all are interested in needing some sponsors or something like that, like you want somebody to run or talk about your product, long as you ain't out here, on some weird stuff, just hit me up. We can, kind of negotiate and talk about, how we can make that happen. Let's see. We strolling down. Only 8 female owners in the NFL. Yep. Don't have many. And a lot of them, end up becoming owners because, their husbands passed away and they left the team to them. I think Drew Brees will come back because he knows the team needs him now more than ever. I wouldn't say they need him now more than ever. I can make an argument to say they don't need him now more than ever. Late 2000s, early 2010s, yeah, they needed him. Now, I don't think so. I don't think they need him as much as they once did because I feel like, honestly, and like I said, I know a lot of people get mad at me because I said this, but honestly, I think that in some ways, Drew Brees is prohibiting the offense from really reaching his full potential because, he's limited right now. I'm sorry, folks. It is what it is. He's limited right now. He is not what he used to be. He is not. There's a reason why you have to put Taysom Hill in the game for him to throw a deep ball. There's a reason why you have to put Taysom Hill to run certain plays that Drew Brees cannot do. And honestly, I feel like he's stalling, he's stunting the growth of this offense. He's accurate. Yeah, he can get the ball out on time. Yeah, he can, still thread the needle. But I feel like defenses are playing these guys close to the vest because they know that Drew Brees can't get the ball downfield. And honestly, I think that defenses rather play offenses like the Saints because they feel like there's a strong possibility that they can end up winning because they can easily like use press coverage and stuff like that. And all they got to worry about is trying to jam the wide receivers, so they don't have to get those quick slants and those 10 and ends, and they'll be straight. I feel like teams don't like going up against people like Patrick Mahomes that can throw the ball all down the field and stuff like that. They tie out the defense. Guys have to worry about the deep ball, have to worry about the close intermediate routes, got to worry about him scrambling, got to worry about if he's going to hand the ball off to the running back. I feel like he stunts the growth. I'm sorry, folks. I feel like if the Saints end up getting another quarterback or a quarterback that can actually fling that football, I think that you're going to see a much different offense. You're going to see probably more production out of some of these players, man. I really feel that way. Let's see. I hope she doesn't get us taken away from New Orleans. I'm going to be ticked like how they did the Raiders. I don't know, man. I don't think you're gonna get to that point just yet. I gotta see all of the information. I'm gonna reserve my judgment till all the facts come out on that. Let's see. Keep the coach of the weakest part of our team for years. Yeah. I do think that we need some new wide receivers. I don't think we need new wide receivers. I think we need a new wide receiver. I like Devontae Harris. I think that I think Deontay Harris is going to be one of those guys that once he really starts to get better with his pass catching, I think he has a lot of what Tyreek Hill can be. I think that's what he can be, and I think that he is going to be good. I think that Traquan Smith is good, but he's just not a number 2. I think if you slide him down the depth chart, and you have him going up against maybe that third best corner, I think he can win that competition right there. I just think that the Saints just need another wide receiver, somebody that's going opposite side of Michael Thomas, another young wide receiver, another guy that can just come in and play right away and take some of the pressure off of Michael Thomas. I think that they're a wide receiver away, man. And you add like Keith Kirkwood coming back, I think the Saints going to try to re-sign him. I think they'll be okay, man. I don't think that they'll have any issues with that. And then, like I said, we don't even know what Emmanuel Butler gonna do. We don't know how he's gonna turn out in his second year. So, I mean, he might end up being an answer. He might be one of those guys that make the transition. We don't know. So many unanswered questions with this team. Let's see. I think Taysom is becoming a little better than Drew. That damn Taysom know how to scramble. Man, I'm not going that route now. No, sir. Like, better than Drew? No, sir. No, I don't think he's better than Drew. I think that he's gotten better. I think he's improved. I think his accuracy has improved. I think his timing has improved. I think his decision-making has improved. But he has a long way to go before he becomes better than Drew Brees. He has a long way to go. I mean, I ain't going that route. I ain't about to just say that he just surpassed Drew Brees. What did he play better than Drew Brees in that wild card game? Absolutely. But he not better than Drew. I'm sorry. Drew can't go deep with the ball. We got to go younger at quarterback. Troy, that's absolutely true. He just can't go deep anymore, folks. I'm sorry. Like, we love Drew Brees. We love him. No, we love him. We love Drew Brees. We respect Drew Brees. What he's done will never be forgotten, ever. But you got to call a spade, folks. I'm tired. Like, honestly, I'm tired. I'm tired of people questioning people's fandom because they saying that Drew Brees isn't what he used to be. I'm sorry, man. Like, this isn't a lifetime achievement award when it comes to the team. Look, people are treating this like this is a lifetime achievement award. Like, just because Drew Brees has done so many great things does not mean that he's exempt from criticism. Does not mean that you can't look at him objectively. And I think that's what people's problem in a Who Dat Nation is. Not all of them, but some. They can't look past what he's done back in the past because people knew how embarrassing it was at times to be a Saints fan. They knew how humiliating the Saints made you feel losing some of those games and being laughed at and being one of the laughing stocks of the league. Look, I get it. I've been a Saints fan my whole entire life. But at the same time, look, you got to be objective, man. You got to be a realist. And I think people, man, just need to really start being real with themselves. You cannot look at Drew Brees and tell me that Drew Brees is what he used to be. You cannot look at Drew Brees play and say that Drew Brees hasn't lost a step. You know what I'm saying? You can't look at me and say that Drew Brees was one of the main reasons why they lost the wild card game. You cannot say that. The only reason, in my opinion, you don't say that is because, once again, we have this undying love for Drew Brees that we cannot look past what he did in the past. So we exempt him from all faults whatsoever. But you're not going to get that from me. I'm going to criticize everybody on the Saints or in the Saints organization. Every single person in the Saints organization, I'm going to criticize if they need to be criticized. You know, I'm sorry, man. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and lie to nobody. I'm not doing that. You can do it. You can question people's fandom. You can question my fandom all you want to. You're going to get the real. If Drew Brees goes out here and throws 4 touchdowns, I'm going to talk about Drew Brees throwing those 4 touchdowns. He did a good job. But Drew Brees, at the end of the day, he is not what he used to be. People can pull up. He was the offensive player of the month, 15 touchdowns, no picks, all you want to. The fact of the matter is this: that stuff means absolutely nothing. In a postseason, you got to handle up on your business. And honestly, Drew Brees looked old. He looked tired. He looked confused. And he looked rattled out there. I'm sorry. Like, go back and watch the game. Like, go back and watch the game and tell me that you didn't see that on the field. Go back and tell me some of the plays that Drew Brees didn't affect the outcome of that game. Okay, you can talk about a Will Lutz miss all you want to, but when it came down to it, okay, I'll give you a prime example, right? People say that the Minneapolis Miracle that happened, people say the reason why the Saints lost was Marcus Williams' fault, right? That's what people say. That's what the narrative is, right? That's what people will say. If you say why the Saints lost to Minnesota for in that divisional round game, the Minneapolis Miracle, people will say because Marcus Williams cost the team the game. My question is this, okay? Why is people saying this on one hand, but they'll bring up all different type of other scenarios about this Minnesota game? You know what I'm saying? Just because it involves Drew Brees. I mean, I just don't get it. Now, we can say that Marcus Williams cost the Saints the game, but I mean, the Saints were down in that game for the majority of the game. They only led with the last few minutes of the game. Okay? Like, and honestly, let's just be honest about this. If Marcus Williams didn't give up that tackle, he would end up being a hero because he was the one that caught the interception to set up the touchdown that gave the Saints the go-ahead score. So, I mean, you can't have it both ways, man. You can't say on one hand, this is the main reason why the Saints lost when it comes to Marcus Williams because he's a young player and you don't have as much invested, but you'll say that Drew Brees is not his fault for turning the ball over in the last 5 minutes of the game when the Saints were in the red zone. You can't have it both ways, folks. You can't have it both ways, okay? You got to call a spade a spade. You cannot just cover that up and just say, oh, man, it's, Drew Brees, it wasn't his fault. Will Lutz and the defense and in the secondary. Nah, man, can't do that. Can't do that because the defense kept the team in the game, okay? And you can't just say, oh, because they gave up a score towards the last minute. I mean, that defense was on the field for a long time, folks. A lot of 3 and outs. Call it for what it is, please. Call it for what it is. That's all I'm saying. I'm sorry, man. Like, I can't blow smoke up nobody behind no more. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I love Drew Brees, but we got to call it for what it is, man. We got to look at this guy objectively. We do. Let's see. Well, where did I stop at? I just went on that rant and I lost my place. All right. Keep the coach. Oh, yeah, I already read that one. Let's see. Who that? Let's see. Day says who that. Troy says who that. I agree with you, TJ. Let's see. Muhammad says, I think Taysom is becoming a little bit better. I already read that one too. Let's see. Yep, you hit the nail on the head. Jalen Hurts, obviously, the name recognition is cool, but I don't know anything about him. Look, check this out, man. And that's another thing. I know I'm seeing like I'm picking on folk, but I'm a straight shooter. I'm a straight shooter. we got to get away from these sexy names, all right? Like we do. Like we got to get away from these sexy names. Like we and not everybody, but some of us are just in love with sexy names. Like just the Jalen Hurts or you know what I'm saying, just the name Joe Burrow. Like we just think that these guys are just the only guys that matter. If you look at the draft, think about this, folks. Think about this. You got two quarterbacks that are playing in the Super Bowl. I guarantee you, unless you just a diehard Texas Tech fan, or you just a diehard, I can't think of the name, the college. I can't even think of the college that Jimmy Garoppolo went to. If you're not a diehard, fan of Jimmy Garoppolo, you ain't know these guys before they hit the NFL. You didn't. You did not know any of these guys. You didn't know nothing about these dudes. I mean, Carson Wentz, did you know about him? Did you see him at North Dakota State? Josh Allen, did you see him play out there in Wyoming? I mean, you didn't see these guys play. And I think sometimes we look at these players and we like, man, I don't know these guys. Like what did they do? What college they went to? Oh, man, they ain't play on no big level. And we dismiss these guys. But these guys could be the answer. And to be honest with you, the last couple players that have been franchise quarterbacks didn't really come from big name schools. You know what I'm saying? They were guys that were flying under the radar, that went to some of these schools that wasn't, one of the big power conference schools, but they go out here and they produce. That's why when I bring up people like Jordan Love, people like, questioning him and I don't know this guy and look at his accuracy. But if I show a highlight tape of Jalen Hurts, grab him, get him, like why? You know what I'm saying? Like these guys, just because his name and where he played for, it don't mean that he's going to transition and be a franchise quarterback. And, we got to get away from that, man. We got to get away from that. Look, I don't care where a guy went to school at. I don't care where he went to school. He could have went to ITT Tech, University of Phoenix. I know they ain't open no more. Man, he can go to, I don't know, Southern New Hampshire. Like he can go anywhere. I don't care where he went. If he can go out there and he can thread the needle, if he can go out here and produce some wins, I don't care where he played. Okay. And I think that we need to get away from that stuff, man. I think we do. Well, I mean, just because the player didn't go to a LSU or Alabama or Oklahoma or Michigan or Ohio State, don't mean that this guy can't play. I mean, look around you, man. Look at some of these guys that's starting in the NFL, man. Some of these guys didn't come from a big school. I mean, Carson Wentz didn't go to a big school. I mean, honestly, some of the guys that's really out here producing, they didn't go to a big school. I mean, that's just me. That's just the way I think. It's like Drew Brees gets scared when the pressure comes because the Vikings game, we could have won. We could have won that. I don't know. I love Drew, but he's going to step his game up. I used to like Heath Schuler. You used to like Heath Schuler. No, sir. No, sir. Trash. Absolutely hot garbage. Okay. Heath Schuler was hot garbage. Okay. Man, he was good when he was in college. I think he went to Tennessee or something like that. Man, he was really good. He ended up getting drafted by the Redskins and hot garbage. The Facebook groups are straight up unwatchable. The Saints fans there are unbearable. Look, check this out, man. Look, people like to wave their pom-poms and stuff like that. And look, I completely understand. Look, it wouldn't bother me. It don't bother me as much as because, I mean, I've been a Saints fan all my life. And to be honest with you, a lot of Saints fans haven't really been following the team for a long period of time. So, they feel like when you talk about the team, you fake. Those are the fans that I know for a fact they've been following the team for a long time. Anytime, like honestly, if you have to sweep your personal and your real true feelings under the rug just to protect your fandom, then you're not a fan. Okay. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, I don't even pay them much mind. I don't pay them much mind. Like most of the decisions and stuff like that they talk about and some of the things that they feel like are going to be beneficial to the team. Like if you look at some of their scenarios, like people will say stuff like, I remember one time like that. I mean, I won't say the guy's name, but this guy says that the Saints need to sign Teddy Bridgewater and trade him. Listen to me now. He says they need to sign Teddy Bridgewater and trade him. Now, Teddy Bridgewater can be an unrestricted free agent, meaning he can go out here and get wooed by all these different teams. He can get wooed by the Patriots. He can get wooed by the Buccaneers. He can get wooed by any other organization that needs a quarterback. But you think that his agent is going to say, sign with the Saints, and he signs with the Saints, and you think that his agent is going to be okay with knowing that he's going to get traded? Like, what kind of sense does that make right there? Like, his agent needs to be fired if he end up getting him a contract with the Saints only for him to get traded outside of his control. So basically, this man has an opportunity to go anywhere he wants to. Do you think that his agent or him is going to allow the Saints to sign him just for them to trade him? Like, that makes absolutely no sense. But that is the type of stuff that I see. So, I mean, I honestly don't pay that kind of stuff no mind, because I know, you know, what people, you know, how they feel, and a lot of the things that they, you know, talk about be a bunch of BS. You know, sorry, but it's true. Exactly. It's like they're scared to talk about Drew. Yeah. Look, I'm not. If you want a real take, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I know everything. I'm not saying that my opinion is always right. But if you want a real true point of view, it's right here on the State of the Podcast. You know, like I don't know what nobody else doing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know what they're doing, but look, I tell you, man, I do this show out of passion. I don't do this show out of just getting a bunch of likes. I don't just do this show just because I can get a bunch of subscribers. That's why I take a lot of pride in this show, because anybody that you follow this show because of my passion, and you get every bit of me when I'm on here, you know, like, so I am who I am. I'm not going to sit up here and blow smoke up your behind. I'm not going to sit up here and not give you a very critical analysis of what I see. And I feel like that's what people need to do. We need to be real. You know, like, I know a lot of people was upset talking about offensive pass interference in overtime and stuff like that, man. But I couldn't even get down with that. You know, I couldn't even get down with that this year. You know, I just couldn't. Was it offensive pass interference? Could have been, but I don't feel like that was the reason why the Saints lost. The Saints lost because they were not prepared in some of those mistakes that were made on the field. Call it for what it is. You know, I mean, not saying that would it help you sleep better at night? Maybe. I mean, but sometimes you got to be real with yourself, man. We got to stop lying to ourselves. Stop lying to yourself. Let's see. I wish Drew put the team first and retire. Kelly, look, I don't know. Look, putting the team first, honestly, I don't even think he have to retire to put the team first. We're going to really see if Drew Brees cares about the team the way he handles this in the next month. Now, he said that he's going to make his decision in the next month or so about what he's going to do with the team. If he decides to come back, I'm interested to see if he'd be willing to take a pay cut. Like, honestly, he'd be willing to take a pay cut in order for the Saints to be able to get some of these pieces in order for them to make a run. How bad do you want that next championship? How bad do you want to leave out on top? Okay, that's the real question that we need to be asking in a Who Dat Nation. If Drew Brees out here signing a contract for $30+ million, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have never went out here and said this, and I have a friend of mine that constantly says this, but he says that Drew Brees have a lot of selfish tendencies. If Drew Brees goes out here and he signs a contract and he's getting $30+ million a year, I'm gonna say that Drew Brees is being selfish. Like, honestly, I understand about getting your coins and stuff, but Drew Brees has accumulated over $240 million in his career. Now, who am I to count somebody else change? I'm nobody. But at the same time, you can't say on one hand that you are doing everything that you can for the team to win, but on the other hand, you didn't basically rake the whole entire market, and you know, you might be the deciding factor why your team is not being successful. I mean, because you are monopolizing the majority of the salary. So depending on what Drew Brees does forward, depending on if he comes back and how he negotiates his contract, will tell you exactly what Drew Brees actually is. I mean, does he care about winning? Does he care about Super Bowl? Or is he what people have been saying? And I'm not saying this, but is he just a person that just cares about personal accolades and stats? Because I mean, honestly, if you out here getting $30+ million at the age of 41 years old, you're not looking out for the team, you're looking out for yourself. Let's see. At this point, just making it to the playoffs means nothing if we don't get to the Super Bowl. The season is a failure. Yeah, absolutely. The seasons have been a failure. Look, playoffs, making it to the playoffs are for the Cleveland Browns of the world or the Buffalo Bills of the world, like teams like that. Those are the teams right there. Making the playoffs is an accomplishment. But when you're the New Orleans Saints and you have been one of the pride of the NFC and you have had one of the best records in the whole entire conference for the past 2 seasons and you have absolutely nothing to show for it, that's a failure. That's an absolute failure. So, look, I don't care what anybody says, okay? Look, division championships, that's cool. If you're a division champion, fine. 3 years in a row, fine. But honestly, man, what does that get you? I mean, it gets you a T-shirt, you know what I'm saying? A large, an extra large, 2X. That's what it gets you. It gets you absolutely nothing. No bragging rights, no nothing. People only respect championships. That's what people respect when it comes to football, man. That's the thing that they talk about when it comes to quarterbacks, when it talks about legacies. I mean, if the Eli Manning retirement doesn't teach you anything, it teaches you that championships matter. I mean, would he even be considered to be a Hall of Famer if it wasn't for those 2 Super Bowls against the Patriots? Probably not. I mean, it is stupid, in my opinion. I think statistically, I think that needs to become a actual factor. But when it comes down to it, people care about Super Bowls. People care about what have you done in the biggest game of them all, and how did you rise to the occasion? That what cements your legacy. Okay. And right now the Saints just look like a bunch of failures. I'm just saying they look like a bunch of failures. Okay. They look like a bunch of they look like 13-3 failures. That's what it looks like. They look like a really good team that are failures. Close, but no cigars. That's what it looked like. Okay. They look like the guy who gets inside of the building, who gets to the executive floor. He gets the meeting, but he doesn't close the deal. That's the way the Saints look. And honestly, as a member of the Who Dat Nation, you get tired of that. I mean, honestly, I would take them being 7-9, make the playoffs for some apparent reason, and then make a run. I would rather them be like the Tennessee Titans or something like that. If you're going to go out here and become a one and done like that, I'd rather you just, be the Tennessee Titans. Then maybe it wouldn't hurt as much. Then you'll be like, okay, they underdogs. But when you're out here being 13-3, the only thing that separates you from the 2 teams at the top was a tiebreaker, it ticks you off. It ticks you off and it frustrates you. Deshaun says start Teddy. I mean, that's a good suggestion, but I don't know if they're gonna bring him back. I don't know if they're gonna bring him back. Let's see. What's up with that article that says Sean Payton found a quarterback he likes at the Senior Bowl or something like that? Yeah, Martin, I did a video on that. Jordan Love, the quarterback out of Utah State, he fell in love with him. Jordan Love, his sophomore season, I think he had like 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions or something like that for Utah State. He's a guy there comparing to Patrick Mahomes. He has a really strong arm. He's a guy that can extend plays. He has a lot of upside, man. It depends on what team he goes to, and he's been tearing it up at the Senior Bowl. Him and Justin Herbert out of Oregon, and Sean Payton has been saying that this guy's like really legit, and it's to a point where the Saints could possibly trade up in order to try to snatch this guy up. So I don't know what he did at the Senior Bowl. I think the Senior Bowl was today. I got to check his stats and see how he performed there, but Sean Payton is pretty high on this guy. And if you go to facebook.com, search State of the Saints podcast, I got his highlights up so you can take a look at him and see some of his highlights. But he's really good, man. I watched a couple games that he played in, and he's a really good quarterback. I mean, his numbers weren't like what they were in the sophomore season. I think he had maybe like 20-some touchdowns, a 30 touchdowns, 17 interceptions this season. But there are a lot of coaching changes at Utah State, and I think that's one of the main reasons why his production suffered. Let's see. I'm more excited about Hill than Teddy, but I know age is an issue. I don't think so. I mean, Taysom Hill ain't number 29 years old. I mean, he's young. So he still got a lot of football left in him. And I'm just interested to see what they're going to do in training camp. Like, will he be able to take that? Like, how is he going to improve? He took a huge step, from when he first came to the team. So I'm interested to see how he's going to look in training camp and OTAs and stuff. And I think that's going to tell you what the future of Taysom Hill is. Talent is talent. Simple. That's true. The owner of the Saints is a POS, and I think we all know what that means. I mean, that was just a bad decision that she made. That is true. I won't call her a POS, though. I don't want to do that. Saints fans don't like the truth. It's like if we say something bad about the Saints, we ain't real Saints fans. Basically, we got to kiss the players' butts. In some cases, but I mean, who cares? Like, at the end of the day, who cares? Like, if you know that you're a Saints fan, how can somebody take that away from you? Like, I don't care. Like, you're not a real Saints fan. Like, so, I mean, who cares? I mean, I've been a Saints fan my whole entire life. What's it to, me to try to prove to you that I'm a real Saints fan? Like, I know what I am and I know what I've been. Grambling State University had a quarterback named Devontae Kincaid who transferred from Old, like 22-3 as a starter and won the Celebration Bowl championship and should have got a shot in the league. J-Rock, I'm gonna be honest with you. I watched Devontae Kincaid. I watched him, play at, back up at Ole Miss, transfer. I think because his mom or something like that got sick or something. He wanted to, be close to home or something. I can't remember. It was something like that, but he was a decent quarterback. But I didn't see NFL talent. I didn't see NFL talent. I seen talent that was better than what the SWAC gave. Had. And I think I can speak from personal experience because, I went to Jackson State University, and that's one of the rivals of Grambling, and I watched this guy play. And, I don't think he was NFL. I don't think he was NFL material. I'm just be honest with you. He was better than most of the quarterbacks in the SWAC, but that's not saying much because, let's just call it for what it is, man. I'm sorry. HBCU football is terrible. It's terrible. Like, it's not good. It's not good at all. Oh man, it's just not good. Okay, so I mean, I just feel like he was just a big fish in a little pond, and I didn't see NFL talent on him. I seen good in him. I seen above SWAC talent in him, but I think that's as far as it goes. Isn't Drew Brees coming back? I'm not sure yet. He says he's going to make his decision in a month. Anyone watch the Aaron Hernandez documentary, Tier 1 Solutions? Yeah, I did. I did check out the Aaron Hernandez documentary. Very sad stuff, to say the least. A lot of things that they said in that documentary, I can see that could have been the reason why he turned out to be the way that he was. I know a lot of people question, after he died, his brain being examined, and people, the scientists said that he had CTE, and people don't want to accept that. And, people are saying that wasn't the reason why. A lot of people said it was because his father died when he was like 16 years old, and his father was like, the guy that kept him on a straight and narrow path. And when he lost him, he went down the wrong road. And how true that is, I really don't. I don't know how factual that is, but I do know this. I think CTE is real. I think that the media tries to cover that up. I don't think that they want to justify that. I think that the NFL has a lot of control with what the media says and what they do. The media understands what their meal ticket is. They understand that the NFL and talking about the NFL gets them ratings, get them clicks, get them views. And I think that they're going to try to protect that just like the NFL tries to protect themselves. You can look at some of the behavior that's going on with Antonio Brown and tell me that CTE doesn't play a role in this. Antonio Brown was a flashy guy. He was a guy that celebrated in the end zone, but honestly, he was never the same after that Vontaze Burfict hit. When he got knocked out in that playoff game, that's when I feel like the advent of Antonio AB was born. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's when he started to really just do all these crazy things. I mean, we can pretend, but I mean, I feel like why is it that we look at NBA and you rarely ever see these NBA players get in trouble, but you always see these NFL players always getting in trouble with sexual assault, you know what I'm saying, like domestic disputes and all these different erratic behaviors always coming from football players. But why do you rarely ever see that coming out of basketball? You know, I think that it has a lot to do with some of these head injuries, man. These guys getting these concussions, these guys taking all these taking all this medication, in order for them to medicate themselves, in some cases self-medicate themselves, in order for them to not to feel the pain of Sunday's football games. We can pretend too, man. I think that we love football so much, it makes us kind of turn our heads to what's really going on. And I completely understand there's a lot of money being exchanged, a lot of money changing hands here, but I think that CTE did play a role in some of the decisions that Aaron Hernandez made, especially the murder of Odin Lloyd. I think it did have a role in it. I think that you combine that with the loss of his father and stuff like that. You combine that and a guy that don't know how to cope with those type of situations happening in his life. I think it did cause his downward spiral. I think one of the reasons is that he decides to go out here and make some of these bad decisions. And I think it's playing a role in Antonio Brown's life. I really do. And I may be wrong, but I mean, all the writing is on the wall, in some of these cases. I wonder how you feel about, let me see. I wonder how you felt about, I guess you mean Archie Manning. Are you saying Archie Manning? Okay. All right. Muhammad, are you referring to Archie Manning? It looked like you said Archive. Or Archive Manning, TJ. No, Archive Archie. He's a lovable loser. Okay, you was talking about Archie Manning. Okay. Muhammad, Archie Manning. I think that Archie Manning, let's see, that was before my time, but I'm a little bit of a historian, folks. I love history. Rather any type of history. It can be American history, it can be sports history. I'm kind of like an encyclopedia when it comes to those type of things. But Archie Manning, he played at Ole Miss. He won a national championship with Ole Miss. He was a guy who was looked at as one of the best quarterbacks in Ole Miss history. He goes to the New Orleans Saints, and he was the best part of the team for a long time. I mean, but the Saints were just horrible. They never had offensive line for him. He was always getting sacked. He was turning the ball over at an alarming rate because, he didn't have protection. I think that he would have ended up possibly going to the Hall of Fame, end up playing for another team. He had that type of talent. I just think that it was wasted in New Orleans. And later part of his career, he ended up going to the Minnesota Vikings. I don't think that Archie Manning ever played in a playoff game. And, I think that plays a role. I think if he probably would have ended up playing for like the 49ers or some other team that was, on the threshold of being successful, he probably would have been looked at a little bit differently. But do I think he's a Hall of Famer? Absolutely not. I think that I think his genetics are great. I mean, he has two Super Bowl winning sons, so and looks like both of them going to end up being in the Hall of Fame. So he wins in that regard. But I think that Archie Manning, I mean, you can't take it away from him, man. I mean, he's well respected in the community of New Orleans. He's well respected out there in Oxford and Mississippi, for what he did out there. And, I think the athletic guy who's over the Saints, jerseys and stuff like that, said that nobody will ever wear the number 8 jersey. His jersey was never retired, but nobody will ever wear the number 8 jersey Is what the equipment manager of this team said. I think he's been an equipment manager for over 40 years. So that's how much respect that he has in New Orleans. But, I mean, I got a lot of respect for Archie Manning, but he's not a Hall of Famer. I mean, he just has 2 Hall of Fame sons, it looks like. Personally, Brees' time is up. Time for somebody else to get the keys to the offense. Let's see. D lineman is running 4 or 5 now. Drews ain't running from that. He stumbles over his feet, and Sean Payton don't make it no better. Yeah, man. Probably time to move on. I don't look if Drew Brees decides to come back. I definitely think you need to have somebody in line, and I think you need to draft yourself a rookie quarterback, a guy. If the other guy behind Drew Brees don't work out, then you'll have another guy that's ready. That's what I feel like the Saints need to do. They definitely need to draft a quarterback early. I would not be surprised if the Saints don't draft a quarterback in the first round. This is a deep draft for the wide receiver position, so I know a lot of people like, man, they need a receiver. Look, this is a deep draft. If you don't believe me, go take a look at, some of these mock drafts. Go look at some of these drafts reports and stuff like that. I mean, this is a deep draft at wide receiver. You can get a potential franchise wide receiver in the 3rd round, 4th round. I mean, it's really that deep this year. So I don't think the Saints should have an issue. I would not be surprised if they end up drafting the quarterback in the 1st round. Let's see. Same with Matt Ryan. Made over $250 million. But Matt Ryan, we all know is terrible. Okay. I mean, we know Matt Ryan is not that good. Matt Ryan, I don't want to say he stole money, because I mean, I think the time he got that contract, I mean, he was NFL MVP. So I think we all looked at Matt Ryan like, okay, man, he performed well. So he deserved that money. But since Kyle Shanahan left, he doesn't look the same. He doesn't look the same at all. And honestly, he's starting to get older now, and his skills are going to diminish. So, I mean, I think he done reached his ceiling. I think so. I honestly don't think that the Atlanta Falcons are going to win a Super Bowl with Matt Ryan. I mean, as a Saints fan, we hope that they never win a Super Bowl because it makes us laugh. But in all seriousness, I don't think that they're going to win a Super Bowl with Matt Ryan. Real talk, TJ, that is selfish. Saints have the leverage, not Drew. He's old, not a young 25-year-old guy. Yeah, I agree. You got to look at that. And he really, the Saints have to make that tough decision, man. Like, you got to let him know. You got to look him in the eye and tell him, Drew, we can't do it this time. We can't give you over $30 million if he's asking for it. And his agent is going to act for it because that's the agent job. Agent job is to make sure that he gets the best contract possible for his client. But the Saints got to hold their ground. And this might tick a lot of people off in the Who Dat Nation because, we don't want to see Drew grow. But I will respect the heck out of the Saints if Drew Brees is asking for $30+ million a year and they say no and they turn it down. I will respect them for that. I'm good with him taking a pay cut for another potential run. But other than that, it's about time to walk away. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing a lot of people saying that Drew Brees needs to retire. Ice Cream Man 504 says, we have become the Houston Rockets of the NFL lately. Yeah. That's a tough one right there, man, because, man, the Houston Rockets are a good basketball team, but they ain't win nothing since like 94, 95, when Akeem Olajuwon and Robert Horry and you know what I'm saying, and who else was there? Sam Cassell and Vernon Maxwell was there. You know what I'm saying? That's when they end up like winning championships. I mean, right now they just, James Harden, he ain't winning nothing. James Harden is a scoring machine, can't play absolutely no defense. I don't want to compare them to them. I don't want to compare them to. I would compare them. Let's see. I would compare them to the early 2000 Sacramento Kings. That would be a better one. Ice Cream Man. That would be a better example because the Sacramento Kings in the 2000s had Chris Webber, Vlade Divac. They had Mike Bibby. They had Pedro Stojakovic. They were like really, really good. And they were picked to go to the championship every year, but they just could not get past the Los Angeles Lakers. They just could not get past them. For some apparent reason, they just couldn't get past them. And I would look at them that way because the Houston Rockets, I mean, they put up points, but nobody thought that they would beat the Golden State Warriors. Like nobody thought that they were going to beat them in the Western Conference Finals, but the Saints are getting picked every year to go to the Super Bowl, and they just choke. Brees looked bad as hell in his last game. The stuff was embarrassing, playing that bad in front of your home crowd. Yeah, that was embarrassing. That was one of the worst games I've seen Drew play in a long time. He picked the wrong time to play his worst game. Let's see, Super Bowl only mission for the Saints. That's the Super Bowl should be all teams only mission. That should be their main mission. But honestly, man, me personally, I think the window closed. Do I think they can win a Super Bowl next year? Possibly, but I don't think they're going to be a favorite. I don't think they're going to be a favorite to win a Super Bowl. I honestly, man, I would be like, honestly, I just feel like the window closed, man. Like, you guys, this is not going to be the same team that they had over the past couple years. It's not, folks. It's not going to be the same team. You're going to see a lot of people going to end up leaving the New Orleans Saints organization that were core guys. You're going to see guys that are not going to get re-signed by the team. Me personally, I feel like the window closed. I think that this draft right here, this has to resemble 2017. This has to resemble 2017 in order for the Saints to get over that hump because, like I said, even though the salary cap is increasing tremendously this season, you still got a lot of those guys from the 2017 draft going to need to get paid, and these guys are going to be some of the high-paid players at their position. So you're going to lose somebody. So the Saints going to have to hit big in this draft. They're going to have to hit big in this draft. This is going to have to resemble 2017. Like they can't go half-stepping with this one. They got to have guys that are going to play right away, that are going to contribute in a big way. They can't half-step it. They can't. They cannot half-step it. You cannot miss in this draft. This draft right here will determine the Saints' success down the line. You may not want to look at it that way, but it's true. Drew Brees needs to just hang it up. Man, don't feel advantage is no longer a thing. Well, it wasn't this season. It was crazy, wasn't it? It was like the two teams that have the most success at home they were losing, the Seahawks and the Saints. It was amazing, but they were like straight road warriors, man. They were winning more games on the road than they were at home. We have a good problem that can be fixed. Yeah. I mean, it could be fixed, but time is, man, I don't know. Time is really drawing near. It's time for the Saints. What is they not? Then next, we have to look at Sean Payton. He needs to start running the ball. 2009, it was a balanced attack. Bush, Bell, and Pierre Thomas. Yep, that's true. But you'll think he'll learn from it, but nope. Peyton always talking every year about he loves a quarterback. When draft rolls around, he never takes one. To me, he's almost a big liar. He always does that, but the thing about it is the guys that he falls in love with, he never gets. He wasn't in love with Lamar Jackson. He wasn't. He liked Lamar Jackson, but he didn't love him. He loved Patrick Mahomes, but he actually honestly kept his mouth shut. Kansas City wouldn't have, went up and got him. It was because he was ranting and raving about him and brought him in for. They found out about it. It was like, oh snap, man, they're gonna end up drafting this guy. We gotta get him, and they jumped in front of the Saints, so they end up, getting drafted. But I mean, honestly, he's gonna have to figure something out. He's gonna have to figure something out, folks, because man, time is drawing near. Man. I mean, you can't keep on relying on Drew Brees to, think that he's gonna keep on bringing you somewhere. I mean, it's just not gonna happen, man. You got to get another quarterback in place. Honestly, if the Saints don't do this, then you can't sit up here and be like, man, they rebuilding. Like, they know they need to go out and get another quarterback. Like, it's not a surprise. Like, if the playoffs didn't show you that you need another quarterback, I don't know what will. He know it. He can't go out here in the press conference and say, well, we need another quarterback. Of course not. But he knows. He watched the game. He's a coach. You know what I'm saying? If you analyze games the way that you should, if you are being critical as well as you should as a coach, you know that time is drawing in. You need another quarterback. You know how I feel about Brees. I wanted a quarterback 2 years ago. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people wanted one. I think a lot of people thought that Teddy Bridgewater going to be the successor, but honestly, I feel like Teddy Bridgewater would have been a successor, but nobody. I don't think the Saints counted on him to play. I think that if Teddy Bridgewater didn't play this season, I think that the Saints would have ended up signing him at a cheaper rate. It's because he went out there and he won 5 games. Now teams see that. I mean, he played himself into some big money. I mean, honestly, because the only thing that teams would have had to go on if he didn't play this season was that Week 17 game against the Carolina Panthers back in 2018, and you know that game he looked absolutely hot garbage. So teams would have been like, "Nah, man, he ain't it." But you go out there and you win 5 games in a row. I mean, teams gonna fall in love with that. So his phone gonna be ringing off the hook, and don't be surprised if he end up playing with Bill Belichick or even Bruce Arians or something. Sean Payton needs to fall in love with the running game. For real, please do. That'd be too much like right. What if we can trade the 24th pick for the 2nd round pick? Who that from Phoenix, Arizona? Why would you want to trade the first? Why would you want to trade a 24th pick for a 2nd round pick? I mean, I wouldn't do that, Calvin. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't do it. I don't think that would make much sense, in my opinion. You know, I think that they need to trade up or something like that if they feel like they got somebody that can be the future of the franchise. Love played decent against LSU. He got a good zip when he throws it. LSU made him look average, though. We'll see. I want CJ Henderson. What's his name? Laviska Sandow. I know he out of Colorado. I do know that. I just can't pronounce his name. Or Justin Jefferson at 24. Let me tell you something, man. Like, honestly, I'm not surprised that Jordan Love struggled against LSU. I mean, that's LSU. LSU got some of the best defensive backs in football, the true DBU, in my opinion. So it's not a surprise that he struggled. You know, but you put some good talent around him, you get some good coaching around him, you got yourself a future franchise quarterback, because they're going to teach him and he's going to get confidence, and he's going to be a winner. Martin says, people love a villain. Yeah, that's true. People love villains. People like shock value. People like people that go against the grain. You know, I mean, I don't know, man. I can't be that type of person. I understand why people do that stuff because it generates interest. But all I can be is me. That's why sometimes, like, y'all might see me, you know, go off or something like that. But that's honestly my personal feelings at the time. I can't just fake it to make it. You know what I'm saying? I can't do that. I don't feel like that's genuine. I feel like people make it because they're genuine. People become successful because they're passionate about what they do, and they're not caricatures of certain things. You know what I'm saying? They're not caricatures. They're not you know, playing that role. You know, what you see is what you get. He be his own that dust or something. He is really out of pocket. Call on Ayanna or something. Ayanna fix his life. Somebody, and he needs to fix his own life. It starts with him, man. But I really think he has some psychological problems he needs to work on. Honestly, I think he needs to be on somebody's couch. I don't believe in a medication. I don't feel like that, man. I feel like that medication just makes us druids. I think that we all, you know, I think that therapy is the key. I think a lot of people come up with these bad decisions because they don't feel like anybody wants to hear what they're saying. I'm a prime example. I won't say prime example. I'm a firm believer. That's what I'm looking for. I'm a firm believer, and I feel like therapy needs to be free for people that really need it. I feel like, you know, honestly, you know, I've taken therapy before. You know, I was going through like personal things in my life, And one thing that bothered me was the fact that you have to pay over $100 in order for you to talk to somebody. I mean, honestly, man, just think about the people that can't afford $140 a session, that can't go and sit on somebody's couch and, they go out here and they hurt somebody. They go out here and they hurt themselves, all because they don't have the money for that. I feel like that kind of stuff needs to be free. I feel like in serious cases, you need to take medication, but I feel like sometimes medication is just an easy way out. I feel like a lot of people just want to be heard. A lot of people just want to feel like they matter. And I feel like if you had like outlets like free counseling, free therapy, free couple therapy, stuff like that going around in the world, instead of people just looking for that, for that check, I think that you'll have a lot of more happy people out here in this world. But he needs to sit on somebody's couch and really reflect on where his life is going, and do we want to continue to go down that route? And in my opinion, I don't think he needs to go down that route. I think he really needs to sit down and look inside himself and figure out what's going on in his life and what went wrong and try to fix it. I'm with you on the window closing. Close is very close. Yeah. I said the window is closed also. We done, y'all. Schedule is brutal next season. I see 8-8 or 7-9. I don't know. I'll say 10-6. But I mean, let me let's not overreact here. Let's look at some of the pieces and some of the decisions made. Then we can go that route. TJ, I agree. I was at the game with my wife when Minnesota kept hanging around doing what they wanted to do. I told my wife at the end of the third quarter, let's go back home to Mississippi. Ah, man, I seen the way that game was going. I was just ticked off, man. I was like, I'm a believer in matchups. I just think that the Saints just pulled the wrong matchup. There's just certain teams that just got your number, and the Minnesota Vikings is just one of those teams that got the Saints number. I mean, it is what it is. They're just one of those teams that can have the Saints number. The Saints are better than them, but Minnesota just always comes out on the winning end. 2024 Super Bowl in New Orleans, hope Saints in it. Me too. If Drew leaves and whatever quarterback plays stink the joint up, the same fans are going to be saying, man, we should have kept Drew. Not me. I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. I mean, that's just the way it goes. That's just the way it goes, folks. Like, you don't know what the future holds, man. You don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think the Indianapolis coach thought that Peyton Manning would end up going to 2 Super Bowls with the Denver Broncos? Like, do you think that the San Francisco 49ers thought that Joe Montana would lead the Kansas City Chiefs to the AFC Championship game back in the early 90s? Like, that's just the way things go sometimes, but, man, look, you can't live your life in fear, man. Like, we have to understand, we are fans of the New Orleans Saints, okay? You may be a fan of Drew Brees, but think about this, man. How long have you been a Saints fan? I mean, I'm pretty sure you was a fan. If you go back this far, I'm pretty sure you was a fan of Eric Martin. I'm pretty sure you was a fan of Mario Bates. I'm pretty sure you was a fan of Ricky Williams when he was playing, or Jerome Payton, or Andre Hastings. You probably was a fan of the Bill Man, Michael Lewis. I mean, you were a fan of Deuce McAllister. But those guys aren't around anymore. I mean, the Lunch Bunch with Norman Hand and Leroy Glover and Joe Johnson and Sammy Knight. You were a fan then, but those guys are no longer there. So at the end of the day, you were a fan of the New Orleans Saints. The wheels keep turning, folks. That's just the way it goes, man. And, you can't just keep on, parading this man out here, just because you want to feel like a winner to your friends or want to feel like a winner every single year. Like, that ain't fair, man. Like, honestly, man, I would want Drew Brees to retire on top. Like, even though we didn't win a playoff game this season, even though they got put out in the first round, Drew Brees still played at a high level. I mean, he still put up really good numbers in the regular season. And if he was to retire, he would go out as being one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I don't want to see Drew Brees out there 42, 43 years old, throwing picks all over the place and having everybody in the Who Dat Nation booing this man up out of the building. He don't deserve that, man. He don't deserve it. And I would rather him retire a year early than a year too late. Because I don't want that for him, man. And honestly, if he does leave and you get a quarterback that stink it up, that just comes with it. I mean, that's just the way it goes sometimes, folks. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way that it is. Sometimes you think that you have a future. Honestly, when people seen Drew Brees come in 2006, you didn't think this man symbolized hope. You're alive, you say you did. Because Drew Brees, honestly, in San Diego, he was mediocre at best. We didn't think that this guy was going to be the all-time leading passer, all-time leading touchdowns, all-time leading completion. You're lying if you say that you did. You're lying. You thought that he was going to be pretty good, and you probably didn't know that much about him, unless you just watch San Diego play football or something. And most of the time, if you watch San Diego play, you weren't watching for Drew Brees. You was watching for LaDainian Tomlinson and Antonio Gates. Be real with yourself. Nobody expected this out of Drew Brees. All right. So just like Drew Brees came in 2006 and you seen this guy, that was a short quarterback, you fell in love with him. Who's to say that the next quarterback that comes through, you won't have the same feelings about him? Or maybe not. But that just comes with the territory, folks. The wheels just keep turning. They keep turning. That's just the way it is. You're a fan of the New Orleans Saints, and I don't want to see Drew Brees like that. That's one of the main reasons I want to see Drew Brees retire. It has absolutely nothing to do with his performance in the playoff game. It has a lot to do with the fact that I don't want to see him being a mere shell of himself and having people booing him in the Superdome, because y'all know that it happened. Like, honestly, man, they got a lot of fair weather fans in New Orleans, man. A lot of fair weather fans. And we know, like Andre 3000 said on Rosa Parks in that verse, your only funk is your last cut. You mess around and your behind will be a has what. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way that the Saints fan base, some of them feel, and I don't want it would hurt my heart to see fans boo Drew Brees in the Superdome. And be real with yourself. Take a minute now. Pay attention. Think about this. Think about this image in your mind. Drew Brees being booed in the Superdome. Do you want to see that? Do you want to see this man get booed in the Superdome? The Superdome, the house that honestly he built. You know what I'm saying? Like, he made legitimate. The Superdome was around way before he was here, but he legitimized the Superdome. Do you want to see this man get booed? I guarantee you, if you are thinking logically, the answer to that question is no. That's something that I don't want. Maybe you will, but not me. Just got home from New Orleans. Let's see. Let's scroll down just a little bit. I keep telling you, TJ, they never had nothing, and they're going to hold on to it until it's too late. Let's see. Yeah. I'm trying to see how I want to approach that, Trayshawn. Yeah, man, Saints fans, we have been through a lot. And I think sometimes, like, when you don't experience success often, you just want to hold on to those things that give you that success. But you got to move on. Like, you got to move on. That's just the way that it goes. Drew Brees is going to retire one day. Rather it's next year, this year, he going to retire, and you still going to be wondering to yourself what's going to happen with the future of the team. So it is what it is. I'm from Cali and grew up around Raiders fans. I went to 2 games with my dad where Drew was a Charger. Yeah, man, Drew Brees was not the same Drew Brees when he was with the Chargers. First off, Marty Schottenheimer was his coach, and Marty Ball is 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Okay, halfback dive was his play. You know what I'm saying? He ran a football, and that's just the way that he played. And Drew Brees was not what he is today. And like I said, people would be lying to themselves if they say that they thought Drew Brees was going to do all this in a Saints uniform. I didn't. I watched Drew Brees since he was at Purdue. I seen him, throwing the ball 60 times at Purdue and throwing for over 400 yards, and he was a Heisman Trophy finalist. I watched that. I watched Drew Brees in college. I seen him go to the Rose Bowl, but I didn't expect him to be as good as he was and just be an all-time great. And end up going to eventually have a football life documentary on him. Let's see. I've been a Saints fan about 27 years. Other Saints, not a Drew Brees fan. I'm a Drew Brees fan. I'm a Saints fan, but I feel like, you got to be a Saints fan first and play a second, because players end up changing, man. They end up changing. And think about all the players that you liked and not with the team no more. Rather they got traded, rather they retired, rather they left the team, but you're still a fan of the Saints. No, I knew about him at Purdue. Yeah, I mean, man, we all, I think, Drew Brees was a beast in college. I give him that. I mean, he threw the ball all over the place. They did not run football at all. I know that ball going to the ice tub after every game, 60 attempts. Like, wow. Like they were throwing the ball all over the place when he was there. I've been a Saints fan since the Dawn Patrol and both of the Billy Joes. Yeah, Billy Joe Hobart and Billy Joe Tolliver. That's when Mike Dicker was the coach. Reggie Bush was my guy coming out of USC, paid $400 for his jersey, and I still rock it. Apple just did the 25 no justice. Yeah. Yeah, man. Reggie Bush, he always gonna be one of those all-time great Saints, because I mean he was the true symbolism of hope. It wasn't Drew Brees. Okay. When he came in 2006, that's when people like really looked at it like, man, this guy symbolized hope. Okay. And then eventually, Drew Brees over the course of time became that symbol. The city and team first. Yep. I've been a Saints fan for 18 years, all my life. Let's see, I'm a Brees fan, but no one will top Tom Brady. Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady has done some amazing things in his career, and I don't think it'll ever be replicated. That son of a gun is incredible. I mean, you can hate the Patriots all you want to. You can call them cheaters. You can call them liars, and it's justified. But Tom Brady, it's hard to deny 6 championships and 9 Super Bowls appearances. It's hard. It's hard to do. Let's see. But Tom and Drew had a bad year this year. Yeah, I mean, because they both old. Let's see. I remember throwing my Bush jersey when he muffed a punt or a kick, either during the NFC Championship game or a Super Bowl. I can't remember. NFC Championship game, I don't know if he muffed a punt on that one. I don't know. I don't know if he ever muffed a punt like in a game like that. I don't think he did. Kelly says Sproles. Yeah, Sproles was one of those Saints, and man, that's somebody that the Saints should have never got rid of. They got rid of him way too early in his career. But I know that he's going to retire. He has retired. So he had an incredible career, man. One of the greatest little men in football history. Brees the GOAT. I can understand why you would say that. One of the all-time greats. I mean, you can't take that away from Drew Brees. But I want him to be remembered like that. Like I said, I don't want people to turn on Drew. Like Eli out there in New York, like they turned on him, I mean, because he wasn't getting the job done. I don't want to see Drew like that. Tom Brady O-line made him. I literally saw the guy sit in the pocket for 15 seconds. Yeah, I mean, you can say that, but I mean, man, you was playing a quarterback, and it's hard, man. Like, I can't even hate on the guy. 9 Super Bowl appearances, man. Like, that's incredible. Like 9 Super Bowls. You go to a Super Bowl 9 times. Like, that's incredible. People forget Reggie didn't want to come here at first. Then he comes to the city and love it. I mean, Trayshawn, I mean, can you blame him, though? I mean, right after Hurricane Katrina, all the stuff that you see on the news, everything that everything that he was watching, and honestly, you come from LA and, you a superstar there. And yeah, he wanted to go to the Jets, but we can make an argument for Zion Williamson. When the Pelicans got the first pick in the NBA draft, I mean, you seen his look. He wasn't happy about coming to the Pelicans. Like, be real. Like these guys, they understand that. They want to protect their brand. They want to expand their brand. So he thought maybe going to the New York market would expanded his brand. But that's just the way that it goes sometimes. I mean, I don't knock him for that. I mean, especially when we're going to New Orleans at that time. Drew Brees almost got booed from me in the last playoff game. Oh, man. I'm pretty sure you're not the only one, though. I miss Zach Strief. I'm going to be honest with you. Zach Strief was a lead on the Saints team, but the way Ryan Ramczyk has played at the right tackle position, it's hard for me to miss him playing that position because he's playing a position better than Zach Strief played it. That guy is an anchor, like a true undisputed anchor, on the offensive line. I mean, you don't have to worry about him getting hurt. He plays. He don't give up sacks. I mean, you can chunk that up to him coming from Wisconsin because all they do is run a football up there. But the way that Ryan Ramczyk plays the right tackle position, hard for me to miss Zach Strief. He got at least 2 boos from me. You know which 2. Yeah, talking about those interceptions. I think Pierre Thomas was better than Kamara. Man, that's I don't know about that one. Pierre Thomas, one of the best screen runners in the game, though, that ever played the game. When Pierre Thomas caught the ball and he ran a screen, like it was nothing like it. Mark Ingram, like towards like the later part of his career, like with the Saints, he was a really good screen runner. He ran the screen really well. But Pierre Thomas running between the tackles and catching the ball on the screens, like he was really good. But Alvin Kamara is more versatile than Pierre Thomas. I don't want to say he's better than him. I mean, they 2 different type of running backs, in my opinion. But I think that Alvin Kamara can do more. But I mean, Pierre Thomas was here longer. It's like we get the playoffs and everything goes down the drain. Hopefully next year we make the Super Bowl. Yeah, hopefully. Let's see. I think we should run Latavius Murray more. It's like they scared to run the damn ball. I think they need to run the football a little bit more. I do agree with that. But come on. We know that ain't gonna happen. For some apparent reason, I don't know if Sean Payton just don't want to run a football. Somebody, put a gun to his head and say, "You better not run the football." I don't know. It seems like it though. But Latavius Murray, I don't think he uses him enough, and it's sad, man. I mean, what's the point of getting this guy from another team if you're not gonna use him? I'm from New Orleans, moved to LA in the 70s. Always been a Saints fan. I'm out here in Phoenix, Arizona. There's a bunch of us fans out here in Phoenix, Arizona. It's time for Drew Brees to retire. Calvin, all the way out there in Arizona, he's saying that Drew needs to retire. Man, I'm hearing that quite a bit tonight. Not worried about the Saints and the allegations. All I care about is this team having winning seasons and making the playoffs. Yep. Yeah, that's the main objective, but it ain't been happening that way. Stop. Zion never looked like that. The media made the camera take certain angles. Man, come on, man. Trayshawn, like I understand. Look, I respect your hot takes, but that's what happened. Okay, that's what happened. He was not happy about being here. He was not happy that the Pelicans got the first pick of the draft. He was not happy about that. He was not. I mean, look, was the media happy? No, because they wanted him to play for the Knicks. I will agree with that. But he was not happy. He was not happy. He did not want the Pelicans to get the first pick. And honestly, it was the way that the Pelicans got the first pick was very rare. Like the Pelicans weren't as bad as some of those other teams. It just, I don't know. It's like playing a lottery for the first time and your numbers hit. That's kind of what the Pelicans were. He did not want to come here though. He didn't want the Pelicans to have the first pick. He didn't. Let's see. I honestly like Murray better than Kamara, simply because good stuff happens when he gets the ball. I like both of them, man. I'm not. Look, I would just look this season. Alvin Kamara didn't play up to snuff, but I still like him. I'm still willing to give him a chance. We can't just say just because he had a down season, just get away from him. I mean, he played really well. He just didn't play well this season. I think we should wear gold jerseys some. Get tired of those white and black jerseys all the time. I don't like those gold jerseys. I ain't like them. I know they wore them like in the early 2000s. Just wasn't a fan of them. I live in Nacogdoches, Louisiana. Everybody was ticked when we lost the game. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they were. No, I watched it. Go rewatch it. I mean, I watched it too. I watched the Zion situation too. That man did not want. That man didn't want to be here, man. That man did not want to play for the Pelicans. I'm sorry. I mean, bruh, like they think about their brand. It's about the brand, man. Like if you can go to a New York market or LA market and go out there and play, like that's what's going to expand your brand. I mean, think about this. You go to New York, probably one of the top 5 media markets in the world, versus New Orleans, which is like ranked dead last or second to last or something. Like your brand takes a hit. I mean, his brand not going to take a hit now because man, he's getting more exposure. He's getting exposure similar to LeBron James. I can argue and say he was getting more because when LeBron James first came into the league, social media was at its infancy. I mean, now, this guy's everywhere. TJ, do you think the Saints will pay Kamara and Lattimore the big money? Yes, I do. Yeah, I really do. Brees needs to step down. We need some more uniforms. To be honest, TJ, we've been had the same uniforms since forever. Yeah. I mean, but we all know in the South, man, the South is, we just a bunch of traditionalists, like there's a reason why you look at the SEC, you rarely see teams change their uniforms. LSU had the same uniform. Yeah, they'll come through with the white helmets and the purple jerseys every now and then, but for the most part, they wear the same jersey. Alabama wear the same jersey. Georgia wear the same jersey. Florida wear the same jerseys. Florida kind of changed it up with the white and put the F on there, but that's a classic jersey in his own. Classic uniform in his own right. So I don't know, man. I don't think that'll ever change. I just think that people just, people are just traditionalists in this part of the United States. Like we don't like change for some apparent reason. We don't like to change things up. We like things to stay the same. That's the reason why people up there, you're always talking about the offensive line. Man, the old line ain't blocking because traditionalists believe, the quarterback standing in the pocket and the offensive line blocking for him so he can throw the ball down the field. They're not understanding about the transition of the game, where quarterbacks can extend plays with their feet. They not comprehending that because it goes against, everything that they believe for the past 40 years and 30 plus years or what have you. So, got to change things up sometime. Let's see. I think you can brand anywhere. Yeah, you can brand anywhere. That's true. But when you go out to, okay, I'll use this for example, right? Okay, if you're trying to be an actor, right? And you're trying to be an actor in New Orleans, yeah, there are opportunities because what you have not NCIS, or well, it is maybe NCIS New Orleans, and you have like all these different like TV shows that come down there to New Orleans. They got movies that come down there. You might be able to play an extra or something like that. But if you go to Hollywood, you can actually go and audition and become like the main character in it. So you can brand yourself as an actor, but you might not get those opportunities like you could in Hollywood or get it out there if you go to Atlanta and go try out for Tyler Perry Studios or something. So branding, you can brand everywhere, but there's a such thing as expanding your brand, making your brand bigger, like because of the resources. Like there's limited resources in certain places that won't allow you to expand your brand the way that you want to, okay? Versus like being out there in California. Like we can talk about I mean, I use LeBron James, for example, right? LeBron James, he goes to Los Angeles after he played for the Cavaliers. And a lot of people felt like he decided to go to the LA market because, he wanted to, be into television and EP different things. And because he's playing for the Lakers, he can actually, kind of oversee some of his projects. So you can brand anywhere, but you can expand your brand and have unlimited resources in the areas in which you go. So I do think that players actually pay attention to that type of stuff. Get out of here with those gross 90s jerseys. I see people wearing those. LeBron branded in Cleveland. LeBron branded in Cleveland. LeBron branded before he got to Cleveland. LeBron was a brand already, you know what I'm saying, before he even stepped foot on the NBA court. That's not fair. You know what I'm saying? Like LeBron is he started out on top, you know what I'm saying, as a brand. He expanded his brand when he went to Miami. You know what I'm saying? Like that's when like he started playing with Bosh and Wade and Udonis Haslem. That's when like he really like took off. And then when he went to Cleveland again, he was already like on like what people, some people, I don't consider him this way, but some people put him on that level with Jordan. Like after he won those championships in Miami and then he went back to Cleveland, he was much bigger than he was the first time around. But like I said, like LeBron James expanded his brand, by going to Miami and going to a bigger market. He get more attention and stuff like that. Like I said, like certain places that you go will help you grow your brand faster, will grow your brand bigger. You can grow a brand and yes, you know what I'm saying? Like in some cases, it depends on who you are. You can like grow your brand anywhere. Okay. But there are certain people that have to go certain places in order for them to grow their brand. Like I look at somebody like Anthony Davis, right? Anthony Davis was getting attention in New Orleans, but he's really getting attention now that he's out of New Orleans and in Los Angeles. I mean, it's just what it is. Some people just want to follow it. And honestly, another prime example, think about Lonzo Ball, right? When he was in Los Angeles, his dad was always on the TV. Everybody was talking about. Now in New Orleans, nobody really talking about Lonzo like that no more. I'm sure he did want to go somewhere else, but the way the media plays the situation was downright despicable. Yeah, Trishawn. I mean, the media. I mean, media always, like you just said, use those Jedi mind tricks. They it's all about ratings at the end of the day, man. That's the reason why you see these debate shows. You see one person agree, you see another person disagree. Sometimes I just think like they're prepared to argue both ways. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I feel about it. I don't even think like I feel like if the first person go first and say they agree with it, the other person has their argument for what they don't agree with. If the person started their argument off and saying they don't agree with it, then the next person, vice versa. So, I just feel like, it's all about ratings and that's the way that it goes. I never said he wanted to play for the Pelicans, but he wasn't upset like they're making it. I don't know. I mean, I know he probably wasn't happy about it. Let's see. Because I have a lot of hot takes on the Pelicans team. Yeah, man. I'm gonna be honest. I just started watching the Pelicans since Zion was playing. I'm not a really big basketball fan like that. I used to be a basketball fan back in the day, but now it's like they soft as cottonelle tissue out there, man. All that load management stuff and dudes crying like babies and stuff like that, man. And all these weird clothes these cats be wearing. I can't get down with that stuff, man. Like I'm watching it now because I guess Zion and him playing for the Pelicans, kind of got me interested again, but never really been a basketball fan for the past. Well, I haven't been a basketball fan for the past like 10 years or whatever like that, like in the earlier 2000s and stuff like that. And of course, the early 90s, I was a fan, but now I just like, I don't know, these guys soft, they don't even really play real defense. Guys be traveling, nobody say nothing. If you're a star, then they put you on the line about 1 million times a game. What in the world going on with Gayle emails in the Catholic Church? I actually talked about that at the beginning, Basically there was some emails that came out. Well, it didn't come out, but the Saints are trying to protect some of the emails they sent to the Catholic Church community. Those emails could have them linked to a possible child molestation scandal going on with the Catholic Church, because the Saints use some of their PR people to teach the Catholic Church press how to handle those situations. So people are looking at like the Saints have aided the Catholic Church and to help them possibly sweep those situations under the rug. Let's see. I get so tired if the old brand talks about sports players, because if it's not for a small market allowing you to display your talent, then your brand. But in the 90s, stars were in small markets. Yeah, they were. But they really wanted those bigger market teams to be successful. They wanted those bigger market teams to be successful. Jordan was way better than Queen Jane. Watching MJ whole career, not even close. Yeah, I mean, Jordan was much more tougher mentally than LeBron is. LeBron is one of those people that, I mean, he basically just getting by because the league want him to succeed. Joe Horn, Michael Thomas, Marcus Colston, start one, bench one. Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas is better. Joe Horn was a dog. I'll have to cut Marcus Colston. I think if you had a combination of Joe Horn and Michael Thomas on the same team, Saints would be in a Super Bowl right now. I'm talking about Joe Horn in his prime now. I ain't talking about like, Joe Horn now, the one that's about to get about 15 to 20 years in prison. Truly, every sport is watered down from the 80s and 90s. Yep. Because it's all about just protecting the player, protecting the brand, and making sure that their star players stay healthy all season long. So, they soft. What's up with these NBA players like snitching out fans for talking smack to them? I mean, man, that's a lame. I mean, it's the millennials, man. Like, you can't talk about nobody no more, without somebody crying. Somebody they talking about me, oh man, but that's this whole social media world that we live in. People can't take criticism anymore. You criticize somebody, the way that they play, the way that they carry themselves, the way that they do things, and they can't handle it. Back in the days, guys were made out of much tougher skin. Women were made out of much tougher skin. Now it's like, you got all these outside forces to protect you, and people are quick to call somebody a bully and all that kind of stuff, like whatever the heck that means. Like honestly, I know sometimes, we think back, especially if we got bullied or whatever like that. But in some cases, man, bullies can be healthy in your life. Like honestly, like if you think about it, like sometimes, like if a person like bullied you or made you feel like a certain type of way, it probably gave you that extra oomph that you needed for you to move, and become stronger in your life. I just feel like you get a lot of people out here getting babied now, so they don't know how to handle certain situations. So when adversity comes up in their life, they don't know how to handle it. I think when people like go through certain hardships and adversity, they know how to come back from it. But if you just get babied your whole life and somebody always patting you on the back, like, oh, everything's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You're great. And, man, you don't know how to accept rejection. You don't know how to accept losing. Like, I don't like that, man. Like that kind of stuff makes you. Like, I think about some of the things that, I've been through as a kid, I mean, it makes you who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the things that you go through, in your youth, it molds you, it shapes you to be who you are. So, I mean, I don't get this new generation. I don't. I mean, I know I sound like an old cat. I'm 33, but I just don't understand these people now. You know what I'm saying? Like, people gonna criticize you. No matter, you can do everything right and people still gonna criticize you. So I care. You're right about those debate shows, because Shannon Sharp with this LeBron is the GOAT. He better than Jordan. He just done lost his mind. I always just wonder, like, Shannon Sharp played for the Denver Broncos. Why would he have like this personal vendetta, this hate for the Dallas Cowboys? I mean, the Dallas Cowboys weren't in your division when you were playing for the Broncos. I mean, if you sit up here and say that you hated the Chiefs, I understand. If you say that you hated the Raiders, I understand. You say that you dislike the Chargers, I understand. But the Cowboy, like, it seemed like, he disliked the Cowboy more than anything. But I just feel like that's what Skip wanted him to be. He wanted him to be like, the Cowboy hater of the show. That's the same way with Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith goes out here and trolls the Cowboy fans every time they lose because, he feel like that gets them ratings. Lakers losing 80-98 to Philly. Yeah, I missed that about Gayle talked. It's at the beginning of the show, Trayshawn. So once we done, you can go ahead and check that opening statement. I talked about it in length for a good little minute. Bye, y'all. Be safe. Yeah, we about to wrap it up, man. Shoot. It's almost 11 o'clock here in South Carolina, and about to go up in here, chill and probably catch power when it hit midnight. MJ was the original GOAT. TJ, it's time for Brees to walk. Let's start fresh. We may have to go through some disappointments, but let's do it. Yep. Got to, man. Got to. What's up, Tim? That's my brother right here. Shouts out to Mr. E. Jones. Still at work, just listening in. No one is above being talked about on the dessert. Yeah, thank you very much, E. Man, that's my brother right there, Mr. E. Jones. One of the main reasons I love sports, man, I call him the sports encyclopedia right there. One of the main reasons why I know just little things about almost everything about sports. When we used to walk home from school, we used to quiz each other on what players went to what schools, and we used to talk about sports. So the guy's my hero, man. He the main reason why I love sports. He's the reason why I'm into sports as much as I am, and I'm forever indebted with him. I always will say that, he's the reason why I love sports as much as I do. And him always, every single year, getting those college football magazines. He's always getting those college football magazines and reading them and stuff like that, man. And I just wanted to be so much like him as a kid. I used to grab those magazines when he finished, reading them and stuff. And I used to read them too, just for us to have conversations. So, man, I love you, man. Like, real talk. Thank you for the inspiration. But we're about to go ahead and get up out of here, man. Like, we're about to go ahead and head up out of here. Thank y'all very much for checking out the live stream. If you haven't watched the whole entire thing, you can always go back to the beginning. I talked a good little minute about the Gayle Benson situation, and I would love to hear what you all think about that, okay? And also, nobody did it tonight for some apparent reason, but the State of the Saints podcast, we do have a open line now. We do. We have a phone line now. So we're going to start doing some live shows, and you all will be able to call in and, and tell me what you think about the team. So please do. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. It is yours truly, TJ Jones. Thank you very much for checking out the podcast. And also, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search State of the Saints podcast, facebook.com, search State of the Saints podcast. And also, you can check me out on Twitter, SOTS Podcast 8, SOTS Podcast 8, and finally on Instagram at TJ Jones _ TJAY _. Till next time, all I gotta say is, who dat?